Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video I want to take a look at the most popular classes in Classic World of Warcraft. Classic WoW had a massive boom and it's been around for quite a bit now. Most of the players by this point have chosen which faction and primarily which class they are going to be playing for Classic World of Warcraft experience. In this video, I want to ask and answer which class is the most popular right now in Classic World of Warcraft, what everybody is playing, and which classes are getting shirked by the community. There's a couple of ways of doing this, but for this video, I decided we will go by the amount of people looking up guides for various classes. The more people look up a guide for a certain class, whether it's leveling, maybe best in slot gear, or talents, the more popular that class is going to show up in this video. I know it's not a perfect way of going about it, but I thought it would be an interesting look to see how many people are looking up certain classes to give us a rough estimate of how popular these classes are. Now let me give you the regular spiel. This video is not to tell you what class you should play and what class you shouldn't play. It's really just me trying to find out how many people are playing what of each class and to find out the popularity, because I'm interested and I want to put this video together in case you guys might be interested. And the counting method for this video is not going to be 100% accurate. The only way to get 100% accuracy would be to have Blizzard themselves reveal how many people are playing Classic, how many people are playing Warriors, Mages, Priests, and so on, and without that information we can only speculate. I decided that the method of people looking up certain class guides would be a little bit more of an insight. I know not everybody is going to look up guides. Some people want that pure classic experience, but still I thought it would be an interesting look at which classes are getting most look up, and based on that we're gonna rank their popularity. First class on this list, and I guess you could combine two classes here together, are gonna be Shamans and Paladins. There's a couple of reasons why Shamans and Paladins would be one of the lowest search classes so far. First of all, you get only one per faction. If you had access to Paladins on the Horde as well as Shamans, I feel like a lot more people would be looking up Paladins and Shamans. In a sense, Blizzard kind of sees them as same class. Maybe it's possible that Blizzard back in vanilla saw Shamans and Paladins to be kind of like the spiritual leaders for the Alliance and Horde, and almost like the same class, with the emphasis on providing buffs for allies, and then maybe being a hybrid class that's not particularly amazing at healing, not particularly amazing at DPS, but can do a little bit of both. I would even add that because both Paladins and Shamans have the same class color, which is pink, rather than the deep blue that Shamans have to this day, I feel that maybe that might even indicate that Blizzard looked at them as almost like a same class, or at least two sides of the same coin. So of course you're not going to have as many people looking up Paladins because only Alliance has Paladins. Same thing for Shamans and the Horde. But if you were to combine them together, both of them together would actually make two very popular classes that a lot of people are playing. If you were to take a look at Alliance only or Horde only, you will find out the Paladins are actually quite popular, and so are Shamans along the faction lines. But when it comes to comparing them as separate classes, as most of us are used to looking at those two, separate classes with their own identities, they are on the lower end of the popularity spectrum, which hopefully that doesn't discourage you in case you want to try out a Shaman or a Paladin. I've played with both of those, and Shamans and Paladins are a must-have in just about every group, and are always a welcome invitation in any one of my dungeon groups when playing Classic. Next class on this list is going to be Druid. With Druids, there might be a couple different factors as to why they might not be the most popular. First of all, before Classic WoW release, they were starting to get a little bit of a bad rep from a lot of the private server or the vanilla community. A lot of people said that Druids are simply not good at everything. I think it's kind of a interesting aspect of them because they're a jack of all trades, but they're a master of none, because they are a hybrid class that can do a little bit of healing, a little bit of range magic DPS, melee DPS, and even somewhat tanking. So you're going to have a very high hybrid tax, because Blizzard didn't want hybrid classes to be insanely good at anything, because let's say a Feral Druid was just as good as a rogue at damage, but a Feral Druid can also dispel allies and even provide tranquility for raids, so they're basically a better rogue. Blizzard did not want that, so they made hybrid classes simply not as amazing at certain aspects as specs and classes that are more focused at those aspects. So maybe that might contribute to why Druid isn't the most popular, but I still think a lot of people do give it a go. Also, I would say that a lot of people maybe have an easier time leveling a Druid. Whether you want to tank, whether you want to do some damage, whether you want to heal in a dungeon group or simply solo questing, not as many people have a hard time with Druid, since you don't really need to look up at guides. You have heals, so you can provide self-sustainability. You have cat form if you ever want to go into melee. You have a variety of casts of abilities that you could fire from afar. Maybe a lot less people need help with the leveling guides and the PvE/PvP guides. It could be a myriad of those things, but Druids themselves, being jack of all trades but not really a master of none, could be a significant portion. Although I think that's kind of the best part about the spec, is that versatility, and a well-geared Druid will definitely outscore me even on my rogue in some dungeon numbers. Next on the list is going to be Hunter, sharing a spot with another class, but it was so close I had to put Hunter here. We gotta be honest, Hunter is the easiest class for leveling, so you would think they would have the most amount of people playing them. But it turns out that some people like the easy playstyle, but not everybody, and maybe because they're very easy to level, maybe this is why a lot less people are looking up guides on how to level a Hunter. It also is a bit of a floating rumor that Hunters are not amazing at endgame. Like, they're kind of sort of okay, but not really top tier DPS in terms of output. They're kind of more middle ground, and they have some spots where they can fill. They can definitely kite enemies around efficiently, the most efficient out of all the other classes. But again, they're not given the biggest praise for the biggest damage number dealers. The best part about Hunters, however, is the solo playability, especially if you don't have anybody to play with or simply don't really want to play with another person, but you still want to have a great experience in Classic WoW. I'm someone who started playing my rogue solo, and I actually had to go and level another rogue just so I can play with somebody else, because I find playing my rogue, at least, with another person a lot more enjoyable than solo. But a Hunter might be one of those classes that might be best for anybody who loves a solo experience or doesn't want to have to rely on another person to have a great experience in the game. Also, when you play a Hunter, you don't have to be in melee, which I think is one of the advantages, because you don't really need to worry about melee mechanics and getting auto-attacked. Your pet really does cover a lot of your back, and it makes playing the game a little bit easier in some cases. Next class on the list we got is a Priest, a top tier healer for all of Classic Warcraft, because just about every other healer, like Paladin, Druid, and Shaman, are all hybrids. Priest, having two specs that are all about healing, makes him for the most efficient healer for endgame content and early game content in Classic WoW. I gotta be honest, Priest in a dungeon group makes things miles easier. I always like playing with hybrid classes like Paladins and Restoration Druids and Alliance, and I think it's a lot more interesting that way, to see how they end up playing the game. For example, you can have a Restoration Druid who could put some healing over time on a tank, go in cat form and help do some damage if they're able to manage the resources. But a Priest is always just going to be sitting there, just making sure to get the heals out, doesn't have to worry about damage, but you know that the tank is never going to go down, whether he's pulling one mob or 5 at a time. As for the popularity of a Priest, I don't think it really comes down to nobody likes Priest, but rather it's a healer. So healers are going to have a little bit more responsibility over a group compared to a damage dealer. Healers are generally going to be harder because you're not really looking at to reduce enemies' health. You are rather trying to manage your resources, cooldowns, and abilities in order to maintain everyone's health at above 0. So it could potentially be that this role has a lot more responsibility. A lot less people are keen to play a healer unless that's exactly what they're signing up for. So most people that are playing Priest, while they could play Shadow or maybe some kind of a weird build that does some damage, most of them are signing up to be a dedicated healer. Being a healer comes with a lot of responsibility, so not as many people are going to be able to jump on that boat straight away. Next class on the list, and that's going to be again two classes that are very close to each other, but first one I'm going to go with Rogue. Rogues are a great choice for player versus player. So when it comes to PvP, of course rogues are going to be very popular, and with how many videos there were from back in the day, like World of Warcraft, of course a lot of people are going to want to try rogue in order to control the world, bleed up their enemies, and really dispatch them with guile and glee, as what rogues normally do. Rogues are a fairly slow leveling class compared to, let's say, a warrior, maybe second to a warrior, so of course people will want to look up a leveling build so that they can survive a lot easier while out in the world, whether it is from other players or from enemy mobs. Rogues have a much easier time questing with other groups, trust me, I know this for sure. So leveling solo becomes a real challenge, so of course you would have a lot more people looking up guides to find out why do I keep dying to 2 mobs or more. I've also been told the difficulty when it comes to classes, the hardest one is not the rogue, but at a close second is definitely the rogue. So of course you would have a lot more traffic of people taking a look at rogues, but also a lot more people are interested in trying to master the rogue as early as they can in order to get that early advantage, whether over enemies in a dungeon or in a battlefield. Next class on the list is going to be Warlock, and again this one was just slightly ahead of the Rogue when it comes to comparing all the different numbers from all the various classes. Warlock is another class that's also, like Hunter, a pet class, so for them questing would be a little bit easier, but for some reason they get a lot more traffic than that of a Hunter. It could be the intricacy of the damage over time abilities that Warlock have to play around, or maybe just simply how they have to play around their pet. The pet is there to tank a lot of the damage, but he's not amazing at it, so you're trying to give them as much leeway by applying damage over time and really tickling your enemy down while your pet is trying to get the big hits to hold aggro. So it's almost like you're trying to wrestle aggro away from your pet without having a reliable way to hold said aggro. Warlocks are also very efficient when it comes to questing, but only if you are proficient at Warlock. Abilities like Mana Tap and Drain Life will take you far and will keep you on your feet longer when it comes to going from mob to mob completing quests. But only good Warlocks will be able to do that, so of course more people want to look up guides to find out why they're running out of so much mana and what are they doing wrong in their rotation. If you guys haven't picked up a Warlock or are simply still trying to figure out what class you might want to play, especially if you're someone who wants to have a little bit more of single player experience, whether on a PvP server or PvE, Warlocks are very self-sufficient when it comes to against other players, and they probably have one of the best quest lines for class quests. So if you're someone who likes traveling far and accomplishing various quests that are intricate and interesting, I think you might enjoy Warlocks if you haven't given them a go yet. Next class on this list is gonna be Mage, a close tie-in for number 1. We've seen how mages play, and we've seen a world first mage to get to level 60. Definitely I believe that the traffic before the guides for mages is going to be increasing because of Joker. Joker being the very first level 60 in World of Warcraft Classic ever, so that was literally a world first. Mages are great at AoE grinding. Again, one of those things that's a little bit challenging to pick up at first, but once you get a hang of it, after looking up some guides or two, it might be a lot easier. Great endgame DPS as well, which is why a lot of people want to play Mage, because whether you want to do PvP or PvE, it's a spec that's always going to be a top tier pick no matter what you do. It's also a decent solo leveling class the higher level you get, so the stronger you get as a mage, the stronger you feel when it comes to managing mobs and controlling them. So that probably helps in a ton when it comes to a lot of people trying to figure out what class they want to play. They want to play a powerful class towards the end game content. And with a lot of guides coming in for leveling but also end game, you will want to be well aware of how to play a class, how to build yourself, and what to look out for. So of course a lot of people want to play one of the best classes in the game, end game, mages being one of them. A lot of people are going to be looking them up. And finally, the Warrior. Now, the Warrior, first of all, is the hardest class to level. So, of course, everybody's going to want to look up at guides, maybe multiple guides even, to find out what they can do to increase the speed at which they level, to increase the efficiency, but also reduce the amount of deaths they have every time they pull a mob. So, for Warriors, of course, a lot of people are going to be looking them up online. You also have a massive payoff when it comes to playing a Warrior, especially for the end game. I don't get a lot of time to level classes for WoW Classic. I've been barely leveling my rogue as it is with the hours I've been investing into WoW Classics. It takes quite a while, but I really want to give Warrior a solid go. Watching a couple streamers, maybe some of the guys in the community here on this channel, playing Warrior in dungeons, tanking, but also being able to do quite a lot of DPS, having the most fun, but also the most amount of abilities closer to the end game level, just looks like a very fun experience. A lot of Warriors report themselves to be very satisfied with the end game content when it comes to playing a Warrior, but also the end game rotation after you have a variety of different skills that you can utilize in different events. Also, Warrior is the only reliable tank when it comes to end-game content. So of course, everybody who's going to be playing a Warrior and taking on that much responsibility to tank dungeons or even 40-man raids to make sure that they're able to maintain aggro and no one can rip it off of them, making sure their allies are safe while they're taking the brunt of it all. Of course, everybody's going to want to look up how to play Warrior and how to be the best tank you can be. Maybe good enough tank so you don't get kicked from your next dungeon group. And that's going to be my list for all the various classes in Classic WoW right now that are popular based on how many people are looking up guides for various classes. Again, I know this video is not going to be 100% accurate, but I thought it would be interesting to see what people are finding popular when it comes to guides, what people are looking up the most, to give you guys a little bit of an idea or an interesting look at what is looking popular based on people's search history. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Maybe this video even gave you guys an idea what class you want to play. Whether you want to be one of the more popular classes out there, because let's say everybody wants a warrior in the group, so everyone's going to want to research how to play one. If you want to be a warrior cut above the rest, you're more than welcome to try it. Or if you want to play maybe one of the least played classes like shamans or priests or hunters and try to see if you can make a name at the end game level once you get to max level, you guys are more than welcome to do anything you want to do with this information. But I just was interested to see what classes are the most popular, and I was kind of interested to see how many people are looking up the guides for each class and to see how popular they are amongst the guides at least. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully everybody's having fun playing Classic WoW. I've definitely been taking it really easy with Classic, but I've been enjoying the ride. I'm not really rushing to get to max level at all, and I think that's probably the best way to enjoy Classic, at least for me right now. Again, thank you all so much for coming to the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another one.